Good day, everyone. I welcome you back to Global Education Zone, the home of impactful learning. It's nice over here for you and I because learning never ends and education is the key to an impactful life. I welcome you back to Global Education Zone, and as usual, I will start this episode by talking about the fundamentals of this topic. And in this topic, we are going to be dealing with fractions. So these fraction topics, at the end of this topic, you should be able to know how to factorize, how to use factorization method to simplify expressions, how to multiply and divide algebraic fractions, how to add and subtract algebraic fractions to give a single algebraic fraction, how to use substitution of numerical values or algebraic terms to simplify given algebraic fractions. Then we're also going to talk about how to solve equations that contain algebraic fractions. Then yes, we'll talk about how to understand what is meant by an undefined fraction. Then lastly, we'll talk about how to determine the values that makes a fraction undefined. Now, I want to talk about these are a lot of concepts we're going to be discussing in this video, and I advise you to sit tight and understand and watch this video down to the end. Now let's talk about the rudiments. Now the rudiments of these fractions are basically, I defined fractions in a previous video that fractions are basically a quotient between two or more integers. So two integers, whenever you have two integers, when you look for the quotient of those two integers, it's called a fraction. For example, the quotient of a and b is what? A over b. That's the general representation of a fraction. Fractions are generally represented as a over b. That's the quotient of a and b. So the result of this will give you the fraction, and then you also have to account for the remainder. So you add your remainder to your results to give the overall fraction. Now, fractions basically involve numerators and denominators. Those are the numbers above. In this expression here, we have a numerator of a, and in this expression here, we have a denominator of b. Now let's talk about to simplify an algebraic fractions or reduce it to its lowest term. You first factorize its denominator and numerators, then divide each by any factor that is common to both. So you just factorize each denominator and denominator, and you divide by the number that is common to both. So let me illustrate that now. So how to simplify an algebraic fraction. So now let me give an example of that. The example I'll be giving is this example. So we have to simplify the expression a square plus ax minus 6x squared. Well, I have to divide it by 2x squared plus ax minus a squared. Now this time around, these are simply quadratic equations, and we want to factorize this out. Let's factorize them. So in the first instance, we are going to multiply the first and the third term and the last term, the first and last term. That will be 6a squared x squared. That's 6a squared x squared. And then when we multiply the first and last term, we are going to look for two terms whose products will give us this, and then whose sum will give us the middle term. So when we look at this carefully, I guess we should be able to work with minus 3ax and minus 2ax. So let's substitute that. That will be a squared plus 3ax minus 2ax plus x minus 6x squared all over. So when we factorize the bottom in the same manner, we have 2x squared. We look for two numbers whose sum will give us the middle term, and whose product will give us the product of the first and last term. So when we do that, the product of the first and last is minus 2a squared, and those two numbers will be minus ax and plus 2ax. So we have plus 2ax minus ax minus a squared. When we factorize the top, we have we factorize it as at the end of the day we have a minus x. When we factorize the numerator, a minus x, a plus 3x. When we factorize the denominator, we have what 2x minus a, x plus a. So here we go, a minus 2x, a plus 3x, 2x minus a, x plus a. Now you can see that in these two terms, you can see that this term is similar to this one, because a minus x is simply minus open bracket 2x minus a. So you can simply replace this here, as this 2x minus a is the same thing as minus a minus 2x. So we've made them similar, and then you can cancel them out. That will leave minus a plus 3x divided by x plus a. So our answer will be minus a plus 3x divided by x plus a. That's the value of this equation. So that is how to simplify fractions by dividing by factorization. Now let's talk about another method. So how to make use of substitution in fractions. If you have to substitute a value of x for x and y, so how do you do it? So this is how it's done. Let's talk about that. Now we're asked to, given that x ratio y is 9 ratio 4. So x ratio y is equals 9 ratio 4. So now we're asked to evaluate 8x minus 3y divided by x minus 3 over 4y. So this is what we're asked to evaluate. And if you encounter any question like this, you are going to divide both sides. You are going to divide up and down. That means you are going to divide both numerator and the denominator by y, or the denominator of your ratio. So for example, if we have x ratio y equals 9 ratio 4, that means x over y equals 9 over 4. So let's multiply both up and down by 1 over y. So 1 over y times the numerator, which is 8x minus 3y, divided by 1 over y times the denominator, which is x minus 3 over 4y. So at the end of the day, we have in the numerator we have 8 multiplied by x over y minus 3 divided by the denominator, we have x over y minus 3 over 4. So we simply substitute this time around. We have been able to express them in terms of x over y. We substitute the value of x over y as 9 over 4. That will be, this time around, that will be 8 multiplied by 9 over 4 minus 3 divided by 9 over 4 minus 3 over 4. So at the end of the day, we will have 8 multiplied by 9. That will be 9 over 4. That will be 18 minus 3 divided by that's 6 over 4. Now 18 minus 3 is 15 divided by 6 over 4 is the same thing as 15 times 4 over 6. That simplifies up to 15 times 2 over 3, and that simplifies to 10. So that's the value of this fraction. That is when you are given such a question like this. So it's actually simple to understand. And then lastly, at the end of this video, let's talk about how to find the value of an unknown for which a fraction is undefined. So for example, let's say find the value of x for which 5x all over x open brackets 5 minus x is undefined. So we're looking for the value of x for which this fraction is undefined. So basically what you need to do is you just equate that fraction to 1 over 0. So when you have to find the value of a fraction for which is undefined, so and then you compare that, or rather you rather cross multiply. You cross multiply. That means or if you don't want to cross multiply, you can divide both sides by you can multiply through by the denominator. So one cross multiply, we have 5x times 0. That's 0 equals x times x open bracket 5 minus x close bracket multiplied by 1. That's x open bracket 5 minus x. Now 0 equals x times 5 is 5x minus x times x is x squared. So 0 equals 5x minus x squared. So we can simply say that 0 equals 5 open bracket x minus 0 equals x open brackets 5 minus x. So we can simply say that either x is 0 or x is 5. So that is how to look for the value of an unknown when the denominator of an unknown when the fraction is undefined. You simply equate to 1 over 0, and just in case you don't know, 1 over 0 is equivalent to infinity. So that's how such questions are solved. Now finally, we've come to the end of this video, and I hope you've gained something. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I will see you next episode of this course.